Today we're exploring 5 of the highest profile footballers Rangers almost signed, and we're not talking about obscure players who later became decent. We're talking about World Cup winners, Champions League legends, and some of the greatest footballers ever to play the game. Some of these moves came much closer than others, but every one of them was genuinely considered by Rangers. Let's begin with arguably the greatest striker of his generation, Ronaldo Nazario. In 1997, Rangers made an extraordinary attempt to sign Ronaldo from Barcelona. The Brazilian had just scored 34 league goals in 37 appearances and had been named FIFA World Player of the Year. However, after Barcelona failed to agree a new contract with him, Ronaldo became available to any club willing to meet his release clause. According to his agent, Rangers were one of only 3 clubs to follow the negotiations all the way, alongside Lazio and Inter Milan. Rangers reportedly made Ronaldo an incredible offer. They were even prepared to let him miss certain domestic matches and concentrate on European football because the club's ultimate ambition was to win the Champions League. Unfortunately, Inter had been tracking Ronaldo since his time in Brazil and became the first club to meet the release clause. He moved to Milan for a world record fee, leaving Rangers supporters with perhaps the greatest transfer what-if of them all. Next up is Lionel Messi. The story of Rangers trying to sign Lionel Messi began with Alex McLeish's son John discovering the youngster while playing Championship Manager. John repeatedly told Big Ek that this teenager at Barcelona was going to become the best footballer in the world. A few years later, with Rangers needing more creativity in midfield following Barry Ferguson's move to Blackburn Rovers, McLeish decided to make an inquiry. His assistant, Jan Wouters, contacted Barcelona assistant manager Henk ten Cate about taking Messi to Ibrox on loan. Barcelona's answer, however, was effectively no chance. Messi was considered too important to the club's future, and there were also concerns that he was too young and physically slight to benefit from the aggressive physical nature of Scottish football. So although Rangers did inquire about Messi, this one never reached the stage of a completed agreement or serious negotiation. Still, the idea of a teenage Lionel Messi developing at Ibrox remains an incredible thought. Andres Iniesta is up next. After Barcelona rejected Rangers' approach for Messi, they offered another young midfielder as a possible alternative, Andres Iniesta. This move actually appears to have come considerably closer. Iniesta was only around 18 or 19 years old and had yet to establish himself fully in Barcelona's first team. Henk ten Cate reportedly told Rangers that Iniesta was a phenomenal talent who needed regular senior football. Rangers asked whether he could come to Scotland, and Barcelona initially indicated that they would try to make the loan happen. However, before the agreement could be completed, Iniesta was selected for Barcelona's first team. He produced an outstanding performance, convincing the club that he was already ready to contribute at the highest level. When Rangers asked again whether the loan was still possible, they were told that Iniesta was no longer available. He remained at Barcelona and eventually became one of the greatest midfielders in football history. Rangers didn't get Messi, and for a brief moment they nearly ended up with Iniesta instead. Next up, we've got Gabriel Batistuta. In 1997, Rangers also explored a move for Fiorentina's legendary Argentine striker. Walter Smith was looking for a world-class forward as Rangers attempted to win a record-breaking 10th consecutive league title and make a serious impact in Europe. Batistuta was one of the most feared strikers in world football, and Smith publicly confirmed that he was among the players Rangers were considering. Initial reports suggested a price of around £10 million, which was already considered extremely expensive. Shortly afterwards, however, Rangers were reportedly quoted a fee closer to £20 million. That was an enormous amount of money in 1997, particularly for a Scottish club, and the proposed move went no further. Rangers eventually signed Marco Negri from Perugia instead, while Batistuta remained at Fiorentina. He continued scoring goals in Serie A before eventually joining Roma, where he finally won the Italian league title. Unlike some of the other names on this list, there's little evidence that Batistuta personally came close to agreeing a Rangers contract, but Rangers' interest was real, and Walter Smith was genuinely considering one of Argentina's greatest ever strikers. Lastly, we have Ruud van Nistelrooy. In 2000, Dick Advocate's Rangers made a reported £15 million bid for the PSV Eindhoven striker. Advocate knew Dutch football extremely well and personally contacted Van Nistelrooy's agent. The two even came from the same part of the Netherlands, giving Rangers a potential connection during negotiations. However, the response was disappointing. Van Nistelrooy's agent told Advocaat that the striker had no intention of moving to Scotland. Despite Rangers' growing reputation in the Netherlands and the club's willingness to spend heavily, Van Nistelrooy had already decided that he wanted to play in the English Premier League. A serious knee injury delayed his next move, but Manchester United eventually signed him in 2001. He went on to score 150 goals for United and established himself as one of the most clinical strikers of his generation. Rangers were prepared to pay an enormous fee, but Van Nistelrooy had his heart set on England. So there we have it. Ronaldo, Messi, Iniesta, Batistuta and Van Nistelrooy, 5 legendary footballers who in completely different circumstances could have worn the famous blue shirt. But which one would have made the biggest impact at Rangers? And are there any other incredible Rangers near signings that should have been included? Let me know in the comments.